allegations that we ended up making. And they are going to come before this commission and they're going to present that evidence. We will be able, under oath, to confirm that indeed that is evidence that we collected, and we have no reason not to believe that it is the real evidence that proves the linkages between the syndicates and the minister himself. In his own words, I think it will be in the record of Parliament, where the minister said he had indicated an engagement with the president about this decision that he has taken. So that's why he stands by his decision. So, which then is strange because the National Commission has never received anything to counter that. So it remains his utterances that we do not know whether he can justify on why he reached that conclusion. It is for that reason, Commissioner, that without receiving that, I personally reached out to the chairperson of the portfolio committee as an oversight body to the police work, because I realize it looks like every door I'm knocking, nothing is happening. National Commissioner, please speak to the minister, it's not happening. National Commissioner, check with the president, I'm not getting a feedback. And the next body that I must engage is an oversight body, which is Parliament. I then contacted the chairperson of the portfolio committee, Honorable Cameron myself. I requested him to invite me to the portfolio committee. Ordinarily, I was not supposed to be part of the portfolio committee. But through my request, he invited me to be part of the portfolio committee. It is that portfolio committee where I was able to then express my feelings about this decision in the presence of both the National Commissioner and the Minister. But even that effort failed. Nothing happened as a result. So those are all the efforts that I did.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Commissioner. And just to remind you, General, there's a portion in your statement where you elaborate further on these steps, and we will get back to it. And in particular, the engagement you had with the portfolio committee, because that's the first place where you were engaged by potential decision makers on the matter. All other previous efforts have been unsuccessful. But before we get there, getting back to our page 44, and I'm at paragraph 127, I'm going to invite you to read your paragraph 127 into the record.
The first point of contact was to engage the Chief of Staff at the Minister's office. Mr. Nkabinde is a well-known individual to me. I personally called him, understanding that there can never be any letter signed by the minister that does not pass his desk, or at least pass his hand. So I asked about it, whether is he aware, or maybe it's just a fake letter that is created by someone and is circulating. So I asked him if he's aware of such a letter that is disestablishing the team. And his response was yes, he is aware of the letter. In actual fact, his words were, the letter has been going back and forth. Someone crafting it, sending it to the minister, has been corrected. Eventually, it was put under pressure to dispatch it to the office of the National Commissioner. So the letter, as I saw it, it's a correct letter that was signed by the Minister of Police.
I point out before you do so that, and I don't know if you'll agree with me, that's conjecture on your part. It's not a fact what is in 127. So if you're going to read it, I need you to explain what informs or what leads you to form that conclusion.
Commissioner, on this paragraph, I wrote that at this stage, it had become clear to me, at least, that the minister issued a directive based on advice that, other than based on records, official records of the SAPS. It was an advice from someone that would have told the minister. So I strongly suspected that that advice the minister received was the one to disband the task team. And it is my feeling, Commissioner, that after having received this continuous briefing from the Gauteng counterintelligence operation about the work that they are doing in Gauteng and the sensitivity of the cases they are investigating and the extent of corruption that they are experiencing with these investigations, that for sure someone believed, because there were threats against the 2 detectives of Gauteng, and the 10 members of the political killings task team had came to Gauteng to assist. Hence, they became part of the project. Someone thought that the political killings task team was the one that was responsible for the investigations in Gauteng towards these criminal syndicates that we had alluded to, we spoke about earlier, which involve and the participation of senior police officers in the South African Police Service, especially at the head office, as well as the senior politicians and their associate. So somebody believed that it is the political killings task team that was busy with the Gauteng investigation. It was my conclusion that whoever advised a minister advised him to close the team because they thought it is the team that is doing that investigation.
Now, and I did qualify that is your conclusion, and in this paragraph at least, you don't substantiate that conclusion or provide a basis for that conclusion. My question to you is, do you personally have any evidence, or is there anyone within the investigative arm or involved in the investigations who would be able to adduce sufficient evidence to at least support the conclusion you have drawn? Do you know of the existence of such evidence?
Commissioners, I am aware of the evidence that was extracted as the team in Gauteng were investigating, which made me reach the conclusion that indeed this is what made someone to influence the minister to close it, because the evidence that we're going to present later by someone who's going to come before this commission who were part of this Gauteng investigation, they uncovered that communication within the syndicate was making a reference to the team, not being understanding that what is happening in Gauteng is for Gauteng, is not for KZN.
You say communication between the syndicate, but you are not implying that that communication extended to the minister, are you?
To some degree, the associates, as I refer to here on this paragraph, are associates of the minister, and the very same associate does show communication. That seems to suggest that the minister is fully involved in the decision that this syndicate is taking.
Do you accept the responsibility on your part to substantiate fully, not necessarily today, but in the fullness of time, the conclusions you have drawn in that paragraph?
Yes, Commissioners, evidence is there on the record, although some of it will perhaps require to be covered in camera, but the evidence is there, and that will support my conclusion on this. The individuals, the colleagues, as I said earlier, my July briefing was a collective effort. Men and women who were part of the investigation in Gauteng, who knows and they've gathered evidence to support the allegations that we ended up making. And they are going to come before this commission and they're going to present that evidence. We will be able, under oath, to confirm that indeed that is evidence that we collected, and we have no reason not to believe that it is the real evidence that proves the linkages between the syndicates and the minister himself.
I suspect the commissioners will flag that particular paragraph and the allegations you make there. and we'll see where the commission goes and whether or not eventually the evidence is adduced. Continuing with your statement, however, from paragraph 129 to paragraph 137, you basically deal with the experience of the task team, the efforts of the task team, the reports continuously made by the task team in challenging the conclusion arrived at by the minister in his letter of the 31st. You see that? Would you like to briefly touch on the issues that you raised in those paragraphs?
Commissioner, referring to paragraph 1 to 9.
I'm referring to from paragraph 1 to 9, where you engage now with the letter, and you stated in the letter, I quote, the minister claims that his observation is that the existence of this team is no longer required. I do not know what facts support the minister's conclusion. I deny the correctness of the minister's conclusion and aver that they are wholly baseless. That's what you stated 129. In succeeding paragraphs, you then engage with the basis for why you disagree with the minister's conclusion. And that's what I would like you to summarize for the benefit of the commission. And that should take you to 137, paragraph 137.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. As I indicated earlier, that this political killings task team is one of many task teams that are running in the country. So for the minister to isolate the political killing task team alone raises question. And for the conclusion that the minister says that the team does not add any value, the value of the police is to prevent crime, to investigate crime, and bring the perpetrators thereof to justice. And this team has demonstrated that. So I did not understand the value the minister was referring to. Whether it was privy to the success, the achievement of the team or not, it's something perhaps the commission will be able to bring, because to date I've never had an opportunity to ask him. These are questions I wanted to ask him, and I never had an opportunity to ask him. So therefore it could not be justified that the team, with these stats that it has, that it can just be classified as a team that does not add value in the work of the police in the country. And as I said, commissioners, that this team, through their success rate, they were even given a task that went beyond the scope of the work on their inception, and they were tasked to go and work in the Eastern Cape, and they were given the responsibility to investigate cases of traditional leaderships and the likes. So it cannot be then correct for the minister to say a team that is recognized, and it's the only one that has been recognized like this in the country, for such a team to simply make an allegation that it does not add value, it's wrong in all fronts. That's why I disagree with what the minister said. It is simply inconceivable that the entire operational management of the SAPS, under the leadership of the National Commissioner, who will see the value of this team and the efforts, the dedication, the times that these members, officers have spent away from home for years in order to assist in dealing with the reduction of our leaders of our country, the murders of our leaders of our country, that it is therefore seen by a minister as not adding value. So the sacrifice of these police officers, the recognition that the National Commissioner has made over these members, the support and the appreciation that the Interministerial Committee has expressed, including the President himself, when he was briefed about the work of this team, and he expressed it, commissioners, not only to the IMC at one stage, he spoke directly to the investigator, to the members themselves, where he said, you are doing a good job, when he was briefed. So for all that, for the minister to come and say it doesn't add any value when everyone else is recognizing, was very bizarre. to say the least. So the reason I advance annually for the continuation of this team are those reflected in the very same reports that we're giving to the IMCs, because those reports were indicating the work still that needs to be done, the success rate the team has achieved in order to motivate the continuing existence of the team. To this extent, the minister, as a newly appointed minister to the post, having been appointed in May last year, under this administration, may have required a historic perspective, the understanding of what this team has been doing before he signs this letter. He need only have had regard, ask the office, his office, to finish him with reports that were already available in his office, which were the IMC reports that are giving the status of the work of the team. You will have received that and get a briefing on it, or at least you will have engaged with the president. But prior to engaging the president, you would have called for this reporting from myself or whoever that was part of this team, in order to understand before he engages the president on the work of this team. So, for the reason unknown to me, the minister elected not only to rely on saying that the team does not add any value, but he decided to issue a directive to disestablish the team. I must say, commissioners, although not written here, that in his own words, I think it should be in the record of Parliament, where the minister said he had indicated an engagement with the president about this decision that he has taken. So that's why he stands by his decision. So, which then is strange, because the National Commission has never received anything to counter that. So it remains his utterances that we do not know whether he can justify on why he reached that conclusion. So my concern...
Can I, if I may?
Yes.
And I do so with the eye on the clock now, because the chair had, I think, had put a cut-off hour of 4. I just want to, continuing on what you have in your statement in the order as it appears, you raise a second different specific concern regarding the minister's decision, and this you deal with at paragraph 134. I would like you to highlight that particular concern to the commission, please.
As I said, commissioners, that the work of the team was not as a result of the Minister of Police, but was a result of the Interministerial Committee. So my concern in the main was the seeming undermining of the Interministerial Committee by the Minister of Police, because the letter does not suggest that the IMC had approved this dissolution of the team, nor that the mandate was given by the IMC to dissolve this team. The Minister has to date not advised of any IMC's decision with regard to the work of the team to date.
Now I'll take us briefly to the dissolution, the disestablishment letter, if one can call it that, of the minister. We went through it, we highlighted what the directives were concerning the filling of the posts for the intelligence division regarding points of entry and the political task team. That would be at pages 185 to 186. Now, if you cast your eye on that document, does the minister say anything about what must happen to the dockets at the time being handled by the task team upon dissolution of the team? Does he instruct or give guidance on what should happen in that letter?
The minister's letter does not say anything about the case dockets specific. So he did not direct on what must be done on this docket. I am informed that the determination on what must happen to the docket was taken by General Svea through the written correspondence that he directed to his subordinate, which is the head of detectives, Lieutenant General Sentumole.
So you annex further as MK10 a letter dated the 4th of February 2025. This is authored by General Sibia, and you say that it was directed to General Sentumole. Could you just briefly tell us who's General Sentumole, whether she and how, fill in and how?
Lieutenant General Sentumole is a divisional commissioner responsible for crime detection in the country. And she is stationed at the head office, resulting under General Sibia as a Deputy National Commissioner.
Your MK10, Annexure MK10 starts from page 187. If you could turn to that. And you say it is this document that contained the determination as regards the fate of the dockets, the custom dockets.
That is correct.
And what is the fate as determined by General Sibia in this letter?
In the main, the Sibia is instructing the divisional commissioner to ensure that the cases under investigation, the instruction by the Minister of Police, the directive of the day of the 31st of December, which was issued by the Minister of Police, that this directive be implemented immediately. And that's why on his letter he makes a reference that in compliance with this directive, he, as General Sibia, is directing that the Divisional Commissioner Crime Detection must engage with the Divisional Commissioner Crime Intelligence.
Yes. And I understand that, in summary, the directive there is all the dockets should be directed to a specific place at national office outside the KZN area. Is my understanding correct?
That is correct.
Now, do you know if you, I'll put it differently, if you, and that's assuming you had the authority, if you were, as a provincial commissioner, were to decide to disband a task team operating in KwaZulu-Natal with dockets on matters relating to on dockets relating to issues and crimes arising in KZN, what would automatically happen to those dockets? If a task team in KwaZulu-Natal is disbanded, and I will assume for purposes of this question that it correctly disbanded, what automatically happens to those dockets that the task team handled?
A case dockets commissioners belong to a police station. The cases open a police station, get registered, is going to have a case number of a particular police station. The docket might be investigated by a specialized unit, a task team, or whatever that is established. But on conclusion thereof, it goes back to the police station where it was registered. So if there was a decision to stop the work of this task team on dockets that are already finalized, will need to be returned back to the stations, and dockets that are still under investigation will also need to be returned back to the very same stations. So that those dockets were allocated to different investigators at the station so that the work or investigation work can continue.
So what would be the basis to treat these particular 121 dockets differently, and that instead of going back to their respective police stations, that they are directed to come to national office? Would you know the basis for that?
I just did not know what could be the reason, although later I discovered what could be the motive. Perhaps we'll discuss that later.
We'll discuss that later, particularly in what could be. But let's try and stick to fact for the moment. Commissioner Balot?
Ms. Silo, before you step off the letter, and let me direct this so that you can formulate it your way to the general. In this letter, and maybe it's because I'm not familiar with police speak, where in this letter do you say that there's an instruction to deliver the dockets to head office?
I think I can assist that by referring to the next annexure.
Okay.
Which is annexure, the same annexure. It's a series of letters. It starts at page 190. And the annexure the letter at page 190 is dated the 22nd of 2025. And that also is issued by General Sibia. At item 2 of that letter, at item 1, General Sibia cross-references the letter under discussion together with another one of a previous date, 17th of January. At item 2, he states that in compliance with the Minister's Directive on the 31st of December 2024 and subsequent directives on the matter, you are advised that this process should be finalized by Thursday, 24th April 2025. And says this includes the transfer of all dockets, closed, currently under investigation, and in court to the Division Detective and Forensic Services. This is once again directed to the Divisional Commissioner, Crime Intelligence, and Detective and Forensic Services, same as the previous letter.
Thank you.
You followed my explanation to the Commissioner General?
Yes, Commissioner, I could just confirm that the annexure, the marked 190, paragraph 2 is specific to that.
Thank you, General.
Thank you, General. So then it's clarified that at least in those 2 letters, the decision or the directive instruction is that the dockets be dealt with in the manner articulated at page 190, which is transfer of the dockets, whether closed, currently under investigation and in court, to the Division Detective and Forensic Services. Earlier, when we put up the organogram, and I checked my understanding with you, I understood that division to be a national division and to be one of the divisions that are under the auspices of General Sibia's division as Deputy National Commissioner. Yes. Am I correct in my understanding?
That is correct, Commissioner. As I put out in the structure, that there are 3 deputies under the National Commissioner at the head office. Each of the deputies is overseeing specific functions. So in this regard, this division, detective and forensic service, it's a division that is headed by Lieutenant General Sintumule, and it results under the responsibility of the Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection, which is Lieutenant General Spear.
I say, so effectively, they leave the control of the task team and or the provincial commissioner, and they now will resort under General Sibia through the Division Detective and Forensic Services, which is a national function.
Yeah, that is correct, Commissioner. They will have these dockets moved from one province and go over another province to a 3rd province, from KZN past Free State and landed in Gauteng.
Did you, upon learning, now let me put it differently, when did you learn of the intention to transfer those dockets and under what circumstances?
we, as a standard practice that will do from time to time in the province, commissioners would be to conduct an oversight on different functions that are performed in the province. And it so happened from time to time that we do what we refer to in the province as a case flow management session. And this is where we receive presentation, I receive presentation together with my deputies on different investigations that are running in the province in order to see performance of the investigation team, assess challenges that the team has, so we can support in areas where we need to support. During the session that was held in May, I came to learn that these 121 case dockets had been moved to Pretoria. And that briefing was given to me by a member that was in charge of this political killings task team at the time in KZN, Colonel Matlo, who advised me that when they moved this docket, it was as instruction of Jara Kumalo, who was a project manager of the political killings task team. That's when I became aware, May 2025.
May 2025. What did you do, if anything, upon learning?
It would have been easier, Commissioner, for me to pick up the phone and call Jara Kumalo because I'm in constant communication with him. But since, in my eyes, this was violating the law, I felt it's important to start putting things formally. So I wrote to Jara Kumalo, inquiring about these directives that he has issued. I was asking him about the status of these dockets because the team had presented to me that through his instruction, the dockets were taken to the head office.
And the letter you reference, is it MK11 you refer to it, paragraph 138 of your affidavit? Of your statement, rather, my apologies.
That is correct.
And that annexure MK11 appears from pages 192, Commissioners. If you could turn to the letter, General. Is that the letter?
That is correct. That is the letter that I wrote to Jara Kumalo, inquiring about these dockets.
Now, it is clear from a reading of that letter that you made the inquiry to General Kumalo in the terms that you expressed yourself, but neither your statement nor your annexures say anything about whether or not you received a response from General Kumalo on these issues, did you?
Yeah, well, Jara Kumalo did indicate to me that he had received instruction which led him to hand over these dockets to the head office. And that instruction came from the Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection, Jara Spear, whom, according to the correspondence that was sent to Kumalo, it was not written to me, it was written to Kumalo, instructing Kumalo to bring the dockets. That Jara Spear was acting under instruction of the minister on the letter of 31st that was disbanding the team.
Now, do you know whether or not the demand of the transfer of the dockets to Pretoria was with the knowledge, concurrence, and support of the National Commissioner? Do you know that as a fact at all?
Before that, how did the Lieutenant General Kumalo convey what you just said to you? Was it orally?
He spoke to me on the phone about what has happened.
If I may just point out for clarity, Chair, at 139, the witness states what General Kumalo informed him, and then he says, I was verbally informed that General Spear acted in
I missed that. Thank you.
I take it in the course of that conversation.
I missed that.
Thank you, Chair. So now we turn to National Commissioner. are you aware of whether or not he knew about this demand for the transfer of the 121 dockets? And anything that you know, please indicate how you became aware thereof.
Commissioners, I report to the National Commissioner as appointed by him, therefore I must account to him. On the telephone conversation that I had with him, which I did not reflect on the statement, was exactly that I'm told that the dockets have been taken to Pretoria. Whether did they authorize such? And they said, no, we never authorize such transfer or movement of case dockets. And the National Commissioner, in supporting what he said to me, he had given me an affidavit. I've seen an affidavit that he wrote under oath where he indicated that he never authorized JRSBR to take these dockets. And that was in June, I beg your pardon, in July. The affidavit was dated in July. And I also know that during the recent court process where Lieutenant JRSBR had submitted an urgent application in court about his placement at home or leave of absence that he was challenging, and subsequent to that intention to suspend, that on the submission that was made by the National Commissioner to the court papers, he says the same thing that he had said to me, that he never authorized the dockets to be moved from KwaZulu-Natal to Pretoria.
So if I understand you correctly, you learned from the affidavit deposed by the National Commissioner in that matter, and the National Commissioner subsequently confirmed to you directly, personally, that he never authorized the transfer of those dockets.
The National Commissioner personally told me that he never authorized it, and then affidavits that followed confirmed the same thing.
And do you know whether or not the dockets were duly transferred? You said on the 20th, by the 20th of May, when you learned, they had been transferred, right?
That is correct, Commissioners.
Do you know what became the fate of those dockets after they left the control of the political killing stars team?
Well, the political killing stars team members were complaining to me that they are receiving unindebted complaints from the members of the family members of the victims of crime that they were in constant contact with as they were investigating these cases, in order to seek update on the work that the team is doing, and the team could not give them update on the work that has been done, and the families are not receiving any update on the work that is done. So that maybe conclude that nobody is making contact with the families, there's no investigation that has been done, and really the whereabouts exactly of these dockets was also in question. So it was my conclusion that from the time they were taken until the time when they were transferred back, nothing was done in those documents in terms of the investigation of crime.
Thank you, Commissioner. General, so just to close up on the issue of dockets, at paragraph 142, you give just a very brief summary that seems to imply that you have a good sense of the issues that were being investigated and reflected in those dockets. Am I correct in my suggestion?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, if I am correct, my question to you then is, to your knowledge, did any of the 121 dockets contain any detail regarding investigations or generally the work of the Gauteng counterintelligence in the Gauteng counterintelligence operations? Did any of those dockets refer, could be parallel to, based on the description, the explanation you gave us earlier, to any of the work of the Gauteng counterintelligence operation?
Commissioners, the directive from JRSBR was talking about the deactivation of the political killing stars team. The case docket of the political killing stars team was situated in KwaZulu-Natal, and they were not part of the Gauteng counterintelligence ops. So the GCI ops dockets were kept separately from those that were brought from KZN.
Okay.
So I don't think there was any mixture whatsoever.
Now, in last question then, and perhaps very briefly, your paragraph 141 and 142, you speak of an analysis conducted on those dockets upon their return, and you draw certain conclusions as to what happened to those dockets in the intervening period. Would you like to summarize that? And that will be the last question for the day.
Commissioners, although this matter came to the public through the media briefing the National Commission had, again thanking the media for bringing this matter to the attention of the entire citizen. That when the media made an inquiry to the National Commission, the National Commission already directed a week prior to that for the dockets to be taken back to KZN. And we had since convened with the acting divisional commissioner of detective service at the time, and we agreed together with General Kumalo of how we're going to deal with these dockets that are sitting in Pretoria before they come to KZN, be mindful of a possibility that the commission might want to have a look at those dockets. So our agreement was that we are going to have these dockets audit conducted page by page in each docket to confirm that which was handed over at the head office, whether it is still intact as it's coming back. As the directive of the National Commission, it was explicit that the copies of those dockets must be made and kept at the head office. So the team had to then make photocopies, scan those dockets, and sign off on each and every document that is inside the docket, and conduct inspection on the docket to see whether has there been any investigation conducted, meaning the very same team, political cleaning task team, that came to hand over the dockets after driving from KZN and bringing them here. They came here to come and at the time they were handed over. They did find few of them, maybe a small percentage. I will not give the exact percentage now, but few of them, there were some entries that were made in those dockets. From the investigation team, from the head office, they said they were instructed to conduct inspection on the docket. As they were conducting those inspections, they had made some entries that they had confirmed, some of them, that the investigation is complete. They're supposed to be arrested, but because they're not empowered to do that, they are not investigating officers, they didn't do anything about it. They just confirmed that on paper, and they left it there on the docket. I think only one of the dockets of the Eastern Cape where a contact was made with the victims in that case, but that was just about only thing that was ever done. Contact made with the victim to tell them that we are having this case, we are just getting this case, together with the...
or where what they were supposed to be.
That is correct, Commissioner. All the dockets were as they were handed over originally to the head office. They came back as they were.
Just one other aspect. In paragraph 137 of your statement, you say that the last sentence, the meeting was led by Colonel McClough, who advised that the dockets had been delivered to General Kumalo. And in paragraph 142, again, the last sentence, you say in the period that they were under the control of General Spear, these arrests were not effected for reasons not known to me. The under control that they is referring to, I understand, is it not referring to dockets? For example, at the time of their removal from the task team. Yes, removal from the task team. I understand that to be a reference to the dockets. Am I correct?
That is correct,
Yes.
Commissioner.
Yes. Now my question is, the dockets, according to 137, were delivered to General Kumalo, and in 142, they are under the control of General Sibia. This could mean one of or two of two. It could refer to two possibilities. One, they could still have remained with General Kumalo, but be under the control of General Sibia, or they could have been moved physically to be under the control of General Sibia. Can you please explain that or shed light on that?
Commissioner, in order to give clarity, you'll see when I made the last statement, when I said, before the National Commissioner conducted the interview, that myself, the acting divisional commissioner of detective services, as well as General Kumalo, had a visual meeting, discussing on how we're going to handle the transfer of this docket or the return of these dockets back. At the time, the dockets were sitting at the office of the Divisional Commissioner, Crime Intelligence, in the storeroom of one brigadier, I forgot his name, who works under the Divisional Commissioner, Crime Detection, Lieutenant General SENZO. It is my understanding, Commissioner, that the dockets moved from Kumalo to General SENZO from detectives on the direction of General Sibia. Matlo on 137, Kellen Matlo, is with the task team in KZN. So he was only communicating the whereabouts of the docket according to his knowledge. His knowledge was that he handed them over to General Kumalo. What General Kumalo did with them, as the commissioner is correctly asking, he couldn't answer that. And General Kumalo, in my engagement with him, was that General SENZO and General Kumalo, both of them, had received the instruction specific from Sibia that him, Kumalo, and SENZO, they must transfer the dockets to each other. So meaning dockets coming from political clearance task team under Kumalo's signature must come to the detectives under General SENZO. Hence, they landed at the storeroom of SENZO. So, but both of them, they fall under General Sibia as a portfolio in the office of the National Commission. So either way, whether they are at Crime Intelligence under Kumalo or they are at SENZO under Detective Services, they still, both of those entities fall under General Sibia. So if we say they are under the control of General Sibia, we mean exactly that. He issued the instruction and he commanded those two entities.
Thank you, General.
Thank you, Chair. It's 16:13. I don't think I drove us to 13, but grateful for the indulgence.
Let's discuss this Madlanga Commission, the disbandment of the political killing team. It was a lot that has been said there, and it was mind-boggling because I don't know how SENZO MCHUNU will come and rebut whatever, because he will be given a chance, as there is still going to be a cross-examination from the team of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. They will still interrogate the evidence of Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. But so far, what he has been saying in this commission, he seemed to have a lot of receipts about exactly how everything has been going wrong there. The minister being involved with syndicates and all that. What do you think about this? When you listen to everything here, do you think what Mkhwanazi is doing is trying to fix our justice system? If you feel he's doing a great job, just give him some flowers. Bravo, bravo, bravo.